Cox at A Day to Be Me. We have our co-host.
Alexander Hodge. Good evening, Callie.
Good evening. So today we are going to be talking about the relationship between freedom and discipline. Alex?
All right. So a good way of conceptualizing this is that it's almost like how matter and the glue that hold the forces that hold matter together. Discipline is like the force, the glue, the force that keeps the matter of freedom together. So without discipline, freedom would fall apart, or it would be chaotic. So finding that balance between chaos and order is that balancing line between the yin and the yang. And so discipline is not a chore. Like, it doesn't have to be a chore. It becomes a chore when it's from the outside. So say if you got someone who's disciplining you, how does that feel? Sometimes it has the opposite effect where if it's coming from the external, then you really don't know how to discipline yourself. And it's coming from the external, it feels like a chore. It's like, I have to do this now, you know. Well, that's because you don't have it coming from within. So understanding that the reason that discipline has to be practiced as a skill set is so that we can have these freedoms. So Callie, like example, like what we did of last week, where we went, you saw how much freedom I have as far as like driving and these skill sets, going to the beach.
Yeah.
So
we went to Warren Dunes in Michigan, and Alex has been doing a lot of physical activity, especially with losing weight and getting stronger. That definitely takes discipline, and the discipline to be able to do that, equaling freedom. His freedom is he was able to run the dunes, which was super impressive. And you got to remember, these are sand dunes that he ran. I mean, I was going up even just one of them, and I had a very hard time considering, I am overweight, I am a smoker, so it really affected me.
So you don't have the same freedom in that regard because of the lack of discipline from the bad habits of smoking. And yeah, so discipline it equals freedom to a degree.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Another thing is his driving. I can't drive, but I have certain limitations that don't allow me to drive. But with him, he has this freedom to be able to go wherever he wants, you know?
Kind of.
You know?
I have to go to work though.
Within limits. But
Yeah.
he has that freedom to drive somewhere and go, to work or again to the dunes or to the beach. And that freedom was because he had the discipline to learn how to drive.
Yep. And not only that, my driving is, I'm very glad that we pointed that out because the freedom to drive in and of itself creates more disciplinary skills that I can learn to get to work on time. How long does it take to get from point A to point B? Can I make it to work on time? Weather, contingencies, snowing, give myself an extra 10 minutes to drive to work, that kind of thing. And those disciplines those little rules that I follow that I've discovered along the way have allowed me to have more freedom. So when I have days off, I can drive to the beach. Or the same thing goes with financial freedoms as well. If you with disciplining ourselves to put in time for, and so I'm on their timetable. When I'm at work, I'm there to solve problems. I'm there to sell you something that's going to solve your problem. I'm going to help you out. How can I help? So I'm there to I work in a hardware store. So if somebody's coming up to me with a house problem, I'm there to solve the problems. So that discipline of getting to work allows me financial freedoms as well. And with the financial freedoms, I have to discipline myself on the finances as well. So it's almost like it's a cycle of learning the disciplines as a skill set, and it spirals you upward. So the more that you discipline yourself with those freedoms, the more free you're going to be overall. So Callie, yeah. And Callie, I haven't seen her like in 7 years. And Callie, you've become pretty what's called you become idiosyncratic as to who you are, the disciplines that you've got, that you've learned over time, and from some of the lessons that you learned from even the lack of disciplines. And boy, I've learned them too. Got into a car accident as a result of one, so a lack of discipline. Yeah, well, I got rear-ended, but what happened was that I wasn't paying attention to the lane that I was in. I sort of went into someone was behind me. I didn't see. But anyway, but this is a couple of years ago. So lessons that I've learned from, and bad habits like lack of discipline as well. Now, every now and then, even I fall under those habits where I have a lack of discipline. So, but I think also recognizing that balance between when we need to take a day off. Sometimes we have to discipline ourselves to take a break. It's like, okay, you know what? I got to really discipline myself here and get to bed at a certain time so I can sleep well. Wind down for the night and in a certain time of the day where I'm not up playing video games or lack of discipline on that area. So, and I get it. Like when we're young, I think part of it has to do with when we're younger, our prefrontal cortex doesn't see it this way. It literally, physically can't. Where we're at a certain age, where we're in our teenage years and the hormones. So, I hope that this provides a lens for young people to see discipline as a skill set rather than a chore coming from the external. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the examples that I have for myself for discipline and the freedom is I have buckled down and put my creative thoughts together. And I am currently the founder and CEO of A Day to Be Me, and also of my website design. And the discipline that it took to be able to create these sites, to be able to create this podcast, to be able to create everything I have now gives me the freedom to be able to say, I did this. I'm running my own business, and I'm getting there in life.
I'll tell you what, I have no idea how to design a website. So kudos to you. That took some discipline and really a lot of focus on learning how to do this stuff. But I think what really helps is that it's something that you're into, something that you're passionate about, a skill set that you're into. I will admit I am not a disciplined studier. I'm not a disciplined studier. It's not within my social ecosystem to be a schoolboy. I'm not a disciplined studier anymore. College, just, I hate to admit it, but maybe sometime, when timing's a little bit better, but this is bad timing. I am not a college boy. My college boy days, I was 300 pounds and just undisciplined, but now I'm more like into working class, and that stuff grips me. I love it. I like working my butt off. Like every Pat McNamara, I'm going to reference him real quick. For those of you who don't know, he's a retired military veteran and coach, TMAC Sync tactical shooting coach, and his disciplines. I love how he does it because he's a time maximizer. Pat maximizer. So, and he's someone that I look up to. That's a social ecosystem that really grips me. So, of course, I'm going to be disciplined into working out. These are things that, and doing things like maximizing my time and skill sets with like physical activity and so much, not so much the mental. I'm not a disciplined studier. It's not something that I do very well in. I mean, I hope that's something that I'm going to work on and brush up on my reading. So I guess in a way, I'm disciplining myself for that because I'm reading a little bit more. Like I've just finished a couple books actually, and I've actually reread them a couple times because it's a book that fascinates me. It's based on a game, and of course, it's going to be based on something that has my interests. So discipline will come a lot easier to come from within, to discipline myself to sit down and read, and as I'm doing that, I'm also brushing up on my reading skill set to read other things. Like actually, you guys can't see it, but over there I have a packet of uh, advancement courses for like management that I've been reading. I haven't touched it in a while, and again, I'm not a disciplined studier, but there's some time I think tonight I'm gonna pick a time to read it tomorrow because I'm off tomorrow, so just picking times for disciplining ourselves and actually make a schedule and stick to it. So the schedule doesn't have to be a chore. It's so that you can have the day that you want. So that you can have a day to be me. Everybody needs a day to be me. Um, make a schedule and stick to it. And the schedule, it doesn't have to go against what you want. You can make the schedule what you want, working around with what you have to do. So there's some responsibilities that you can't escape from. Like for me, I can't just stay home from work. No, and I actually screw that. I don't like doing that. That's another thing too.
So bringing up not liking to stay home from work, that reminds me of a conversation we once had.
Okay.
The conversation basically detailed, about breaks, taking breaks from work, taking days off from work. Well, what happens when you love work?
Yeah.
That's one of the things when I say that um, the discipline equals freedom. The discipline to create this whole thing gave me the freedom to have the ability to love my work and not want to take a break.
It's almost like for some people, this is so true. The work, it kind of becomes your break.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it feels like. It's funny because I'm working with people that sometimes some of them just don't want to be there. They're having a day where they just don't want to be there. That's fuel. Like that's fuel. That's motivation. That means, oh, you're not up for this? Hey, who's gonna carry the carts? Watch this. So then I go and do my thing. So um oh, I got this. I got this. Watch but see, so it's almost like the work environment becomes my break. So, taking a break from that, I feel horrible. Like if I take a break from that kind of a break where I love working, I like getting after it. If I call off, oh, I feel guilty. Like if it doesn't feel good, because I don't like doing it. And it's funny because even when I'm sick, and that's something that I need to work on too. I need to work on listening to my body and disciplining myself to knowing when things are not going well and how to address them. Instead of toughing it out, oh, tough guy, discipline equals freedom. No, you should get after it. Sometimes I think when we listen to our bodies, I'll give it a day. So I'll give it a day. So if I'm not feeling right that morning, I'll procrastinate on that and not take a day off. Now, if I'm still feeling funny tomorrow, that's when I'll listen to it. It's like, okay, I need to back the F off of myself today and take a break. Go easy today. So I guess procrastinating on the procrastination. I can go one day, even though I feel kind of crappy this morning, go one day. If I get moving, maybe I'll feel better. And then usually 9 times out of 10, I feel better when I get moving. So that starting point, starting something, you're gonna want to finish it. Yeah.
So I want to bring our editor, Kevin Gellinger, on to the podcast. He has a few things that he would like to say about discipline. Kev, come on up.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going, Kev?
Sometimes over-discipline can cause negative effects for your child growing up, but the positive outcomes are better than the negative. Always work on that.
Absolutely.
Always become a better day to be me.
It's absolutely. So I think, Kevin, you bring up a good point. So over-disciplining as a child being over-disciplined, again, that's coming from the external. For that kid, it's coming from the external. That could be a real pain in the ass. Like, man, kids don't want to hear that. So
No, they don't.
I hope that this gives a lens where for a young kid or teenager to have it come from within, instead of it having to be an external source where you're being reminded over and over and over, reminder. It's like, hello, it's got to come from within, man. You got to be the one to take charge of what you got, because if you don't, well, they're just going to keep disciplining you from the external. It's not going to feel good, man. Get
No,
after
it's
it.
not.
Let's go get some. When it comes from within, it's like, oh, I did this.
I'm so proud of myself.
No.
Absolutely.
I finished this project. Now I'm free.
Doesn't that feel great, though, when you do finally put in that discipline and you get that freedom that you've been wanting, whether it just be some free time or a goal completed and getting to move on? Like, doesn't that feel great?
It feels amazing.
Yep.
I just mowed the lawn today. I'm glad that's done. Now I don't have to
Exactly.
touch it. I don't have to touch it for another week or two, so I'm free from that. Yeah.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It did. And that didn't come from my external. Now, in the back of my mind, it is coming from my father. So I do have like people that I look up to that remind me in my own head to get out there, mother clucker. Let's get started. Let's get this lawn finished. And then I go and do it because it's a reminder in the back of my head. Oh, my dad's getting it. You know, would want me to get after it. So it's something that I need to take care of anyway. It comes from within. So it doesn't come from him anymore.
Comes from you.
And that's such a relief and a relief of burden to people around you, especially when they're the ones that are disciplining you. It's good to see. It's a relief to them because then they see that you're picking up on having your discipline come from within, instead of like say me having to remind the kid on stuff. Instead, maybe give them the tools to figure out how the discipline can come from within, and then laying it out so it's like, hey, you got this done. I can go. Got the freedom. Did it.
One thing that I wanted to make known to our audience is the difference between discipline and punishment, because a lot of people use those two terms hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
Discipline is being able to get yourself to do something, or people getting you to do something, and buckling down and doing it. Punishment is the consequence to not having that discipline. Just wanted to make that known.
Yeah.
Yep. And sometimes, man, when it comes from within, I have a tendency to punish myself. So if I don't get something done where I know I needed to do it, but I didn't, the cost of inaction, man, that plays with my head.
Plays with my head too.
I say that's a punishment in and of itself when we know and yet we were willfully blind. We knew we could have, but we didn't. And then, so say one of the ways that could happen is if I have a bill that's sitting around where I know it's there, but it's like, oh, I know, Mom. 2 days later. 3 days later. How's that looking out for you?
Come
Hurts,
on,
doesn't
brain, trigger it. Come
it?
on.
It hurts eventually. It's like then sometimes, like, again, half-assing it because it's coming from the external so many times that when you finally buckle down and actually do the thing, you're not interested anymore. So that's why the discipline comes from within. It's your task. You take ownership of that task. I want to take a shout out to Jocko Willink in Extreme Ownership and Discipline Equals Freedom. So shout out to his podcast. And Jocko, if you're out there, I hope you see this sometime.
Yeah, we'd like to hear from you.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Alexander Hodge.
And
Kevin Gellinger.
we hope you have a great day, and thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye. KPG here with a day to be me. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that like button for more videos.